February 21st, 2017. Yeah, it is so. 2017. The Smurf. So we got a kind of a pickup from Sunday's show. Just that audio. I got a pickup from Sunday's show. The Three Stooges. The Three Blind Mice. Here's my version of what they're doing since we exposed them. That is literally what just happened to the Three Stooges, who are notoriously fake activists. These are fake activists. We'll get into that later. You got to realize that this is not a game, what's happening to this planet, even though those people are portraying it as some kind of game. It's okay. It's all right. Let's just pretend that something else will solve the problem. It's okay. I get it. I know where everybody's coming from. Just jump on a Death Star. Hit somewhere else. Forget about the other 8 million species. And so that's not acceptable anyway. I'm not willing to consider that as an option. Okay, maybe a last option. I'm kind of not considering it as an option right now because I know better. I know that we got to fight our own battles, and this is our own battle. We can't expect, like, I get it in the context of a dinosaur allegedly had not a lot of issues. There were so many of them, and they were so big, blah, blah, blah. These animals didn't have, you know, if they were able to grow that big, it meant that, you know, they were top of the food chain, so to speak. They weren't really worried about it. But we see the depictions of cavemen killing them. Blah, blah, blah. We don't know if that's true. Like this. Let me explain this to you. You got reactors in Japan that have disappeared. There's nobody should be able to say, okay, Dana, maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, Dana. You know, you're not. You're just showing us pictures, Dana. Well, that's more than everybody else is doing combined. Well, Dana, that's not true. Well, yeah, it is. It is. There's nobody else out there doing what I'm doing. No one else out there going, look, these two pictures are not like this is symmetrical building anymore. This is what's left from those two pictures. Knocked it all down. And told you there was the fuel pools were up high in the roof. Now, Libbe was out on George Norrie's show and didn't bother to articulate the fact that the fuel pools were literally gone and they've been faking it for 3 years straight. Now, George Norrie is also linking over, and this was just where I went looking to see what else was going on, who was carrying that article. Some of the videos were knocked down. I finally found and listened to it. Here's George's version of Libbe HaLevy. Now, she came out, and at the end of the show, what you find out is George don't know who she is or anything about her. She's just like, right out of the blue, ended up on his show, and then at the end of the show, you get that. And so they were in panic mode because we beat the shit out of these people on Sunday, yeah? But she's shoving Helen Caldicott out there, which is really interesting. Now, look at the fuel pool. Look at the fuel pool. Why are they doing that? Why are they showing that just before the anniversary? I've been called out repeatedly about it. All Helen Caldicott got to do is come out and say, well, that pool is not inside of that building, folks. They're lying to you. Instead, quite the opposite. And if you don't understand what that really means, let me give you some.
Building 4 is also similarly fragile, and it's got a huge cooling pool on top with all its fuel rods, but they have been removing them. And it's been a very delicate procedure, and they've removed almost all. So if that collapsed now, I think it would probably be okay.
Okay, so she's crazy. The lady is crazy. She's got Alzheimer's or dementia, or she's a liar. So if she doesn't have Alzheimer's and dementia or autism or something like that, then she's lying to you. There's the Unit 4 she's talking about. Are you really going to support someone like that? Really? But let's go back and look at Helen Caldicott. But now, don't get me wrong. She's not the only one out there doing it, but she is Helen Caldicott. 29,000 physicians on her side. 14 books, 30 years as an activist, and doesn't know that
we are here inside Reactor 4 at
this
the
is not
Fukushima
true.
Daiichi nuclear power plant that was severely crippled during the earthquake and tsunami of 2011, leading to the country's worst nuclear disaster.
Okay. See, this is fake. So Helen...
Building 4 is also similarly fragile, and it's got a huge cooling pool on top with all its fuel rods, but they have been removing them.
Scratching her head. The fuel pools are way up in the air. Helen should have come out and called that fake. Or...
They're taking us to Reactor 4. It was offline when the tsunami hit, but a powerful hydrogen explosion left the nuclear fuel here in a very precarious situation. They've now succeeded in moving it to a secure location.
This is fake.
On one side is the reactor, and on the other is the pool where we removed 1,500...
They're claiming they're inside the Unit 4. Here's another one.
1,500 highly radioactive fuel rods inside this pool. They've got to move
Inside
them
this
outside
pool.
of this reactor.
Got to move them outside of this reactor.
It is a vital, some say dangerous first step to shut down.
Do you get what's going on here? Listen to Helen Caldicott talk about Unit 3. Look at Unit 3 is totally destroyed. Do you think you're going to see that fuel pool up high in a building when it don't even exist? Think about what the building looked like. Let's just watch this for a second.
And especially Building 3 is very fragile. It's still got a huge cooling pool on its roof, protected by nothing. The molten core has melted its way down onto the concrete of the containment vessel, but maybe into the earth. And if that collapsed, there would be a nuclear inferno.
It did collapse. What do you mean, if it collapsed? Is that not collapsed? Am I missing something here? Somebody want to go re-look up the definition of collapse for me? Should I be taking Prozac because I think that building is not what she's claiming it is? Should you take Prozac because you might think that that building is collapsed? These are questions you should start asking. It's either you're crazy or she's lying.
We are here inside Reactor 4.
No, you're not. But she's
This
not.
is really why we've been brought here.
No,
Where
you're
I'm
not.
standing is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4. The whole of this building was blown apart by a huge explosion after the tsunami disaster.
Okay, all right. And nobody can get into these buildings like we've been seeing in the headlines. But what we're going to show you, this is nothing yet. What we're going to show you, I'm going to take you back to Helen Caldicott, March the 18th, 2011. We'll play a 10-minute video of her and we'll dissect it. This is where she came out to get street creds. Here's a similar clip at the same time, somebody getting street creds, and then come out and tricked everybody after with deceptions like this, where when this picture was taken, Alexei was there, faking it. You know the building blew up. Now listen what he said though originally.
Fact that the reactor in Japan is 100 times more powerful than the one in Chernobyl, and in fact the two stations, the two power plants in the Fukushima region produce the world's biggest joint amount of energy, and this means of course that this reactor, which is under threat now, is far more powerful than the one in the fourth block of the Chernobyl nuclear power station, which exploded 25 years ago.
Okay, let's play that one more time. Now, just this time, I'm going to slow it down, and we're going to jump.
The fact that the reactor in Japan is 100 times more powerful than the one in Chernobyl.
The reactor in Japan is 100 times more powerful than the one in Japan, because this is important for what's coming up for the rest of the show, for the next 40 minutes.
And in fact, the two stations, the two power plants in the Fukushima region produce the world's biggest joint amount of energy. And
the two biggest power plants.
This means, of course, that this reactor, which is under threat now, is far more powerful than the one in the fourth block of the Chernobyl nuclear power station, which exploded 25 years ago.
Far more powerful, like 100 times. Okay. So he was getting street creds because he turns out to be a major lawyer. So Helen comes out right now with this new story. Helen Caldicott, the Fukushima nuclear meltdown continues unabated and shows you fake pictures of a reactor. What are you going to do with people like this? How are you going to deal with people like that? All we can do is come out and show you, make you understand there's two Helen Caldicotts. I don't know if she got a twin sister or something. Maybe that's what's going on. Could be. Nobody knows for sure, right? Just saying. I hate to think she's evil, but it's hard to think otherwise. You need to get your shit together. Keep going. Okay. Hugs for everybody this morning. Comment section. And it's going pretty hard. Libbe HaLevy was up in George Norrie, coast to coast, shoving Helen Caldicott out. Occupy Fukushima. I laugh my ass off every time I see that one. Don't trust that guy, or that girl, whoever that frigger is, by the way. Yeah, go right ahead. Go down and occupy Fukushima. Knock your socks off. It's just ridiculous to even suggest it. So it's a playoff. The pictures of the interior reactor above is green is fake. It's fake, right? That's fake. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to play Helen Caldicott getting her street creds, and then we'll come back and remind you what she's like today.
And especially Building 3 is very fragile. It's still got a huge cooling pool on its roof, protected by nothing. The molten core has melted its way down onto the concrete of the containment vessel, but maybe into the earth. And if that collapsed, there would be a nuclear inferno.
Okay. Now, she's only talking about one building there, but let's go play this clip. Hi, everybody. Kathy, Stacy, hi, Elaine, Shanikin, which is Shanikin. And if I don't explain that, people think I'm talking to two people, so. And she's moderating when she feels like it. She doesn't have to do it if she doesn't want to. If she's not having a good day, she can just chat. And she's only going to moderate people that are attacking me, and not trying to have, because we show all the documentation. That's all we do. We just pound documentation. Anybody that doesn't want to deal with that and just wants to slander and manipulate people even, you get the boot. Yeah, thank you, Elaine. And Sylvia, hi everybody. Octavia, what is it? Octavia, some people's YouTube names, I'll never get it. Censor, Stephen, Duck, and Cover, and Stephen, and Ellie. Good day, everybody. Let's keep going. And that's the one thing we still haven't got worked out is patching the comments back in. I don't know why that I think it's my cables. And it's just too much money to try to replace anything. We did pick up a few donations in the last couple of weeks. My goodness, thank you. I hate asking with a passion. So this March 11th anniversary coming up, it's going to be all day here. It's going to be a fundraiser for the expeditions for this spring, the last ones, before I leave the coastline. And we have to go out and do it right this time. Now we've had time to reflect and everything. So March 11th, I'm going to push for all of that. And March 11th, about a week before that, I'm going to stop blogging and spend that whole week getting ready. So it's going to be a really good, because we've tried this many times unsuccessfully, but this time we'll get it, because we have to. Let's go listen. Hang on. Fix that. My mistake. I turned it up. Okay, here we go. I'll do some switcheroo. Boom. Because I got a bit of music. We'll play that out. Damn it. You're dummy today. The music is louder than when she was talking. Right? Chop that right now so it don't happen to me if I get off it again. Here we go. I'll turn it up.
It's produced by the New York Academy of Sciences.
Background, I'll stop it. Now, this is March the 18th, 2011. And I'll split that right there. And I'll just come up and remind you that was the video that's linked on her story with the fake fuel pool in it over here. And she shouldn't be publicly talking about it anymore. She's been proven to be a fake activist and deceptive and deceitful, and had the ability to come out and deny that was real and put an end to that. That has been a nightmare for the last 3 years. These people, Arnie Gunnarsson, Helen Caldicott, Christopher Busby, and the likes of those, Simply Info, have never come out and disavowed those pictures. Nobody, only me. There's a few activists, don't get me wrong, come out. I should never say only me. I know there's people there before me was disavowing these pictures, but it never made it out there. I made it out there because I don't know how to take no for an answer. Okay. Now, Helen is going to sound really good. She's going to sound legit. She's going to sound as concerned as I have ever sounded at my best, which is every day. But this is the one day where she shined. But let's break down what this means for everybody. And it's worth listening to, it's worth watching, worth understanding. And we got a couple of formats we can do this in. Get out here and fool around at the same time. And click on something. I don't know what it means, though, if I click on it. I didn't label it. Oh, don't. So we can get these high-end storms we have, like the Philippines, with 240-mile-an-hour winds. This is what we're seeing happening. It's a phenomenon since Fukushima, these massive winds, yeah? Okay, and I can zip in a little tiny bit. Let's play some of that in the background. Let's kick some music in. So there's a lot of juggling to try to make this work each day. Stupid amount of work.
Downloaded. They translated 5,000 articles from Russian the first time into English. It seems that nearly 1 million people have already died as a result of Chernobyl.
I'm going to turn her up a little tiny bit. So 1 million people have died because of Chernobyl. This is 1 week after Fukushima. But what she says next is really interesting.
Despite what WHO says and the IAEA, this is one of the most monstrous cover-ups in the history of medicine, because everybody should know about this. Then we extrapolate through to Japan.
Okay. Let's stop it right there for a second. Let's extrapolate it now because 1 million confirmed dead after Chernobyl. All right, let's look at Chernobyl right quick. And then because we got 9 minutes of her to get through. There's Chernobyl's new sarcophagus. Where'd that go, Dana? Get your shit together, Dana. Okay, here we go. Giant arch to slide over, another $1 billion. They got graveyards there of material. Think about 3 million children with permanent disabilities. Once you've been treated once, it's permanent. They were kidnapping.
When the robots broke down because of the extreme radioactivity, men were sent in to clean up the site. They were not volunteers. They were picked up off the streets and press-ganged onto the roof.
Picked up off the street, press-ganged onto the roof because it's clean, green, and too cheap to meter and safe. Yeah? That's why they got these graveyards. That's why these models of the dispersal, I'm going to shoot ahead a few days. This is the 30th of April. Like 25th of April, 5 days later, 6 days later, 8 days later, blah, blah, blah. You see it's still coming out of Chernobyl for 10 days. For 10 days, it's considered hell on earth, yeah? Vidal had wrote in 2006 that it contaminated 150,000 square miles. Now, that's what Helen Caldicott was referring to, etc., etc., etc. They kidnapped people. They done hideous things on this planet. And so Fukushima is many, many, many reactors. I lost my spot. I'll get it right quick. That was the plan today. I had to shift back and forth to make that work. So first off, she could have come out and told everybody that that is fake. As simple as that. Instead, she uses that over and over to indoctrinate everybody. If it was like that, how would you get 30 million bags? Yeah? If it was like a beautiful fuel pool, that doesn't account for everything else, see? Okay, let's keep going. She's being plugged by known puke machines. We're back on track. University of Chicago, a little bit more on track, Dana. And hi to everybody this morning who's paying attention, joining the stream.
By orders of magnitude,
I'll turn it up.
many times worse than Chernobyl.
Do it again.
Japan is, by orders of magnitude, many times worse than Chernobyl. Never in my life did I think that 6 nuclear reactors would be at risk. I knew the 3 GE engineers who helped design these Mark I GE reactors. They resigned because they knew they were dangerous. So Japan built them on an earthquake fault.
Now this is 1 week later for anybody joining this stream who's not familiar. And just let me remind you what she's like now today. Right then she's really concerned. She's really honest. She's hitting the nail right on the head over and over. Move ahead a couple of years.
And especially Building 3 is very fragile. It's still got a huge cooling pool on its roof, protected by nothing. The molten core has melted its way down onto the concrete of the containment vessel, but maybe into the earth. And if that collapsed, there would be a nuclear inferno.
Right, and there was, and she doesn't tell you, doesn't show you, doesn't explain it to you, doesn't walk you through it, doesn't talk you through it.
Reactors partially withstood the earthquake, but the external electricity supply was cut off, and the external electricity supply supplies the cooling water 1 million gallons a minute.
1 million gallons a minute? 1 million gallons a minute? Is that like a lot of water or just a little bit of water? Anybody? Can you get 1 million gallons a minute through your garden hose? Can you? And so if you don't get 1 million gallons a minute...
If they lose power to those, to that reactor or to any other reactors past a few hours from now, you might reach a 3 Mile
Island. Now, I just want you to remember what that is. See, Helen Caldicott is not down there thanking the homeless for dying. She's not going to go down there and visit this place, nor is Harvard or Yale or Berkeley or MIT or Stanford. That's what it looks like in real life, right? You're talking about a 190-foot building. I got a 130-foot for comparison. Not really doing the job. Here's a 190-foot building. There was another kick at the can of me frigging around. But if you got this close, that's all me. I'm just layering myself here. So they can fake it all they wanted if they wanted it. Like, that's just me on the beach. I took those pictures. I went out and done the expeditions. There's nothing left there, only a couple of algae. But I was trying to articulate, doesn't matter how many of me or how many people was on the beach with me, they wouldn't have found anything extra, and I documented the beach with photography. That's all available up at the nuclearproctologist.org. Sorry. And that's where you find the pictures of those expeditions. And these are the lies that your friends and loved ones who work for institutions and governments and for medias have been feeding everybody. If your friends or families or loved ones work for the nuclear industry, you need to get educated here and then go give them a conscience. And we'll get to that some other day. We covered many times. Now, I goof around a lot. I'm going to play a little clip where I goof around. And I'm not racist. Little D is, though. I'm not. I'm a good guy. Come in, we're gonna go to the mall and get something to eat. Where you too? The mall, we're going to the mall. We're going to the mall. Little D, are you ready yet? Hurry up! The mall, we're going to the mall. We're going to the mall. I'm hurrying. Yeah, Dennis, hurrying. I said hurry up, little D. Come on, let's go. We gotta get moving. The mall's gonna be closing in about half an hour, so hurry up. No way. You can tie your shoes. Come on, let's go. Hurry up. Okay, I'm tied. Little D, you like Mexican food? Woo, Mexican! I love Mexican! Woo, Mexican! How come Mexicans don't have an Olympic team? Well, anything that can jump or swim is already in the USA, little D. How come Mexicans don't have barbecues? Well, the beans fall through the grate because they're so small. Why do Mexicans wear pointed shoes? Well, they do that because it's easier to get over the fences. What's the first 3 words in every Mexican's cookbook? Well, every cookbook in Mexico says you gotta steal a chicken. How many Mexicans does it take to screw in a light bulb? You're a racist. It don't matter. They're too short to change the light bulb anyway, little D. Are you sure this is Mexican food? You don't look Mexican. I think you're trying to get me to eat Fukushima food. I'd call the social services and tell them you touched me. No, I'm not trying to get you to eat sushi. Okay, I go get ice cream. Anyway, don't eat Fukushima food is the lesson from that one. Don't give it to your kids. It might fuck you up. Let's keep going. I get distracted sometimes because I'm like a big baby sometimes. It's true, right? Like you can't win them all. You can't win them all, right? You're gonna fail sometimes, dude. It's just the way it is. I know that was a big fail for Dana. Let's keep going.
To each of those 6 reactors. Without the cooling water, the water falls and the rods are so hot they melt, like at 3 Mile Island and at Chernobyl. So the emergency diesel generators, which are as large as a house, got destroyed by the tsunami. So there is no way to keep the water circulating in the reactors. Also, on the roofs of the reactors, not within the containment vessel, are cooling pools. Every year they remove about 30 tons of the most radioactive rods.
30 tons is 66,600 fuel rods. Right, they're 18 pounds each.
That you could possibly imagine. Each one
is 18 pounds and 12 feet long. There's 80 in a bundle. And there's, now they emit, there's, say, 10 years of fuel in the fuel pool. I'm going to split the video right there for a second. And we got to, let's play that clip from MIT right after Fukushima. And I can't remember what the date was on that. Was that right after it or the month after the accident?
If I can just add to that very briefly. There are 2 things that make the problem of the spent fuel easier to deal with, and one thing that makes it harder to deal with. The harder problem is the one that Ian has just mentioned, the fact that the fuel is not inside the containment. The 2 easier problems, or the 2 easier aspects, are that the fuel pools, although they have, in most of these reactors, quite a lot of fuel in them, perhaps as much as 10 years worth of spent fuel, by this time are not generating as much heat as obviously the fuel in the core.
Like he
one is 12 feet
pontificates
long and half an inch
when you
thick.
don't have to.
Gives out so much radiation, like X-rays, that if you stand next to it for a couple of minutes, you'll die. Not drop dead, but with, remember Litvinenko, the
She's talking about a single rod. Actually, you will drop dead.
Russian who got poisoned by polonium.
But you'll die fast, like she's going to explain to you.
You'll die like that. With
You'll
your
break
hair falling
down.
out, bleeding
Your
to
organs
death,
melt.
dying, massive infection, like AIDS patients die. So these are, and they're thermally hot.
So you're not ingesting radiation. You're not eating radiation. You got gamma shine or alpha shine or beta shine, or because you're talking about mixed oxide fuel, which was reclaimed uranium, reclaimed plutonium from the reactors. Let's keep going.
Have to be put in a big pool and continually cooled too. The pool has really no roof. There have been 3.
So the pool has no roof. It's up high in the building. Let's chop it off there.
Building 4 is also similarly fragile, and it's got a huge cooling pool on top with all its fuel rods, but they have been removing them.
Now she knows that's not true. She knows this is not true.
Inside reactor 4 at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power.
She knows that's fake. I'll turn that down. Hang on. I don't know where that one came from. I don't remember clicking that one. I'll turn that one down. Let's keep going. We're running out of time. 20 minutes to go. So these people are faking it.
We are here inside reactor 4.
No, you're not.
So this is really why we've been brought here. Where I'm standing is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4.
You can't get on top of these buildings. You would die instantly. Just from the gamma, alpha, and beta emissions, right? We got distracted. Let's keep going.
Hydrogen explosions blowing off the roof of the building, not the containment vessel of the core, but the roof. And
oh, not the containment of the core, but the roof. Hang on. Let's chop that. Go look at this for 1 second. And so I just want you to explain that. I want to explain that for you. A little bit of jumping. Here we go. And so This is the top of the buildings. These are the approximate same. If this one wasn't destroyed, it would be the same as this. Fuel pools are up high. The center of the core, reactor core, is right up the center of the building. It's gone, yeah? It's gone. That is gone. The reactor core is actually pop, right up through it and woo, landed somewhere else. Let's keep going. But that's the 10 to 20 years of reactor cores. In those red, that's the fuel pools, right? They're gone. That's multiple reactor cores, but the reactor core, which is in the center of the building, is also gone. See? Because it's almost to the top of the building, right? Let's keep boogieing. It's important, though, that we keep online, right? Because they're showing these fake pictures in her story, right? As soon as you scroll down, you bang into that. What the frig is that doing there? Why is that there? And why are they linking to linking over to her old video where she came out to get street creds, right? Which is what we're watching now. Look at the buildings. They blew up, but yet she won't come out and say that's fake. Because she's propagated it out there, made a fortune, a fucking fortune off her lies.
And especially Building 3 is very fragile. It's
Libbe HaLevy, nuclear hot seat, is shoving her out there. And Coast to Coast Radio is shoving her out there. We're coming up to the 6th anniversary. They're trying to give her street creds, bring that back in. Oh, she's a good person. She told the truth one time, Dana. Yeah, but she's lied ever since.
Exposing the cooling pool. 2 of the cooling pools are dry. They have no water in them. Meaning that the nuclear fuel rods are covered.
They're dry and they got no water in them. They're gone.
With a material.
It's instant. They catch fire.
They're called zirconium.
Zirconium cladding burns off.
It burns. It ignites.
It's very hot too. It's like it's super hot when it burns. And so if you wrap anything in it, it's going to burn.
And there've been 2 of the fueling pools at this moment are burning. Exposed to air, it burns. It ignites.
Okay, I got to chop it right there. I want that clip for later.
And there've been 2 of the fueling pools at this moment are burning. In the fueling...
Are burning. Wow.
Cooling pools are many times, like 10 to 20 times more radiation than in each reactor core.
So 10 to 20 reactor cores are in the pool. 10 to 20 reactor cores are in the pool. And the pool don't exist because it went pop. Yeah? So why are they showing it? Huh? Why? Huh? Why are they doing that? 10 to 20 reactor cores are in the pools. But, baby. Woo! Right? And so why is Libbe, batshit crazy Libbe, and Nancy Foss from Simply Info and Sean McGee teamed up? Why are the 3 blind mice teaming up and coming after me? What did I do to deserve that kind of recognition? Hey, where'd you come from? That's a little bit wrong. Too late. Quicker than I was. I'll fix it. Just give me 1 second. Let's keep going. I'll fix it when I'm get through Helen Caldicott.
In each reactor core is as much long-lived radiation as that produced by 1,000 Hiroshima-sized bombs. We are dealing with diabolical energy. E equals mc squared. It's the energy that blows up nuclear bombs. Einstein said, nuclear power is a hell of a way to boil water, because that is all nuclear power is used for, to boil water through the massive heat, turn it into steam, turn a turbine which generates electricity. Now, when you fission uranium, 200 new elements are formed, all of which are much more poisonous to the body than the original uranium, although uranium's pretty poisonous.
When it goes through a chain reaction, it's no longer 238. Now it took on a whole different life. I just want to start that first couple of sentences.
In each reactor core is as much long-lived radiation as that produced by 1,000 Hiroshima-sized bombs.
No.
We are dealing with dire.
Yeah, if, like, say if you were just to distribute it out, that might be true, maybe. But each bomb is able to pick up 1 million tons and put that in contact with fission, and that becomes ionizing particles. So a chain reaction consumes everything that falls down on top of it. So that little building in the background of number 3, right? It consumes all of that's falling down, all the rocks, because it's down into the earth somewhere, all the rocks. It consumed everything was there. This was a 150-foot high building. Let's keep going. We're going to run out of time. If not, well, I'm not going to run out of time because I'm going through it all one at a time. So let's keep going, I guess.
America used it in Fallujah.
We're getting there. We're in pretty good shape.
And Baghdad, and in Fallujah.
Baghdad and Fallujah.
80% of babies being born are grossly deformed. They're being born without brains, single eyes, no arms. The doctors have told the women to stop having babies.
Wow. And which I talk about that long before Fukushima happened. But what we're talking about is she's getting street creds, yeah? So why is she coming out years later?
And especially building 3 is very fragile. It's still got a huge cooling pool on its roof, protected by nothing. The molten core has melted its way down onto the concrete of the containment vessel, but maybe into the earth. And if that collapsed, there would be a nuclear inferno.
Well, there was a nuclear inferno. It did collapse. You didn't warn us. You didn't tell us like you did that first week.
Reactor 4 at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant.
Right? And it's not just her. There's others out there. It's an operation, what you're looking at, right? These are one and the same. She's one and the same as this person. I'm sorry, as this person.
This is really why we've been brought here. Where I'm standing is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4.
No, you're not. You can't get there. You would die.
200 highly radioactive fuel rods inside this pool. They've got to move
No, you're not there.
They're taking us to reactor 4.
No, they're not. This is the game they're playing on everybody. You die there. Like, that's been established in the last week to the people that won't believe us by the media. Oh, the media is talking about it. It must be true now, Dana. Yeah, but Dana's been banging at this nonstop to show you that we're in desperation mode. That's why the 3 blind mice. That's why the 3 blind mice are freaking out. And now they're getting picked up by George Norrie? Really? Libby's really now... Now, Libby and George Norrie didn't write the script that she read. That was the script she read on George Norrie. She's an actress, right? She wrote scripts all of her life, plays and stuff like this. She's linguistic for that kind of language. And so Nancy wrote it, right? And they took it from my presentations, my lectures, most likely, and they put their connotations into it, and Libby read it off, and George replied with his little parts, and at the end of it, you can see George totally confused, and Libby is trying to sound legit. She doesn't want people to think of her as the clown she's been acting like for the last several years, 5 years. Every show, she's a clown, and then all of a sudden, because I call her on it, she shows up on George Norrie's show, really, and she's pushing out Helen Caldicott, desperation. So is George. Here they are lying, murdering you, murdering your children. She just murdered your grandchildren. You're shoving her out. Well, it don't matter. Libby don't got none, so she don't give a fuck. Libby don't, but Helen does. She has grandchildren, friends and families, and loved ones she cares about, allegedly.
Building 4 is also similarly fragile, and it's got a huge cooling pool on top with all its fuel rods, but they have been removing them.
Okay, here they are removing them.
This is really why we've been brought here. Where I'm standing is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4. The whole of this building was blown apart by a huge explosion after the tsunami disaster. But down inside this pool behind me here is still a vast amount of nuclear fuel. You can see it down there beneath the water. More than 1,300 fuel rods. Those have got to come out. They're currently 30 meters above ground level. This whole building is still not entirely stable, so they've got to get those out.
You got to get those out. This ground is not stable. It's not stable. It's not stable. Hang on. I'll show you what he means by that. He's inside of that building, yeah? And the building is over there on the left-hand side. You can see the fuel pools right here. You can see Christopher Busby at the top there, disparaging comments out there slandering me, saying I'm a drunk, saying I don't know what I'm talking about, saying these depictions are not accurate, because he knows those people don't know any better, out there manipulating, deceiving, and twisting me on purpose. They've been doing this for a couple of years. Yeah? That's why I got rid of the other clown. Wasn't protecting me. They were utilizing what I was doing to destroy me. These are 190-foot buildings, and they're gone. 190-foot buildings, totally destroyed. And you got all this weirdness going on. And so why are they showing you that? Why are they shoving that out there? Go read the story. I'm not going to go down that story. I'm just going to show you the story that they linked to, the video from Helen Caldicott, and show you what they're really up to right now, because here's what she's like now.
And especially Building 3 is very fragile. It's still got a huge cooling pool on its roof.
Right? See how she twists her head when she does that? She knows it's not there. She knows fucking well that's not true. Why didn't she come out and say something? Oh, Dana, she was threatened. You think I wasn't? I was arrested, vilified, bankrupted, dragged through the justice system. 16 lawyers wouldn't touch me. They fucking destroyed me. In the mainstream media, right across Canada, Japan, broke the story of my conviction, for fuck's sakes, the Japan Times. Totally wrecked, tried to wreck me, tried to fucking throw me off a cliff. Helen Caldicott gets a free pass. How come?
The incidence of childhood cancer has gone up about 12 times.
Chernobyl, she's talking about.
It's a nuclear war being conducted in Iraq, but uranium that they're using lasts
Iraq.
More than 4.
Iraq, they fired 5.5 million rounds a month. A month to get 10,000 Taliban. That's not overkill. 5.5 million rounds a month for 9 years. That's the government's record. You got millions missing, millions unaccounted for, millions dead, millions in refugee camps, 5 million orphans in Afghanistan alone to get 10,000 Taliban. 80,000 soldiers committed suicide in that time frame. 4,000 died in combat. Because they dropped a bomb a minute from the sky for 9 years. They fired 5.5 million rounds a month to get 10,000 bad guys. If there's one bad guy there, they go in, fire 5.5 million rounds a month. I'm not kidding you.
The incidence of childhood cancer has gone up about 12 times.
In Iraq.
This is genocide. It's a nuclear war being conducted in Iraq. But uranium that they're using lasts for more than 4.5 billion years. So we're contaminating the cradle of civilization, the coalition of the willing.
Which is where Eden is, right?
In the nuclear power plants, however, is a huge amount of radiation. 200 elements. Some last seconds, some last millions of years. Radioactive iodine lasts 6 weeks. It causes thyroid cancer. That's why people are saying, better take potassium iodide, because that blocks the thyroid uptake.
And cesium also goes in there, same as any other emitter. Iodine is a tracer. She should say that immediately. Iodine is just a tracer. It means all the other radioactive isotopes are also there. When she says 200, she means 2,000 that she knows about. She's not able to say, even then, she wasn't able to tell the truth.
Of radioactive iodine, which later can cause thyroid cancer.
And there's 10 times more 132 for every iodine 131 from Fukushima's fuel. There was 30 times more 133 for every iodine 131 from Fukushima's fuel. iodine 132 and 133 ionizes and radiates your thyroid glands 9 times more effective than
in Chernobyl,
the 131
over
does.
20,000 people have developed thyroid cancer.
She smiles each
Have
time.
their thyroids out, and they will die unless they take thyroid replacement every day, like a diabetic has to take insulin. Strontium-90 will get out. It lasts for 600 years. It goes to the bone where it causes bone cancer or leukemia. Cesium lasts for 600 years. It's all over Europe. 40% of Europe is still radioactive. Turkish food is extremely radioactive. Do not buy Turkish dried apricots. Do not buy Turkish hazelnuts or dried...
She should be out saying that for Canada, for America, and particularly for Japan. Don't buy that food. Canada was right under the jet streams. America was right under it. All the pollution, the forest fires, the auto industry pollution all comes over the Trans-Pacific corridors. We got study after study over decades showing it's real.
Turks were so cross with the Russians, they sent all their radioactive tea over to Russia after Chernobyl. But 40...
Dirty buggers. Keep it over there, boys. Keep it over there.
80% of Europe is still radioactive. Farms in Britain, their lambs are so full of cesium they can't sell them. Don't eat
anything from Japan, anything from the Pacific Ocean. Come on, say it, Helen. Say it. Don't eat it from the Pacific.
European.
Right? She has never said that in 6 years.
Food. But that's nothing compared to what's happening now. One of the most...
Yeah, now let's listen to Helen Caldicott lying to everybody now.
And especially building 3 is very fragile. It's still got a huge cooling pool on its roof, protected by nothing. The molten core has melted its way down onto the concrete of a containment vessel, but maybe into the earth. And if that collapsed...
That was several years after. See, she knew all those pictures, depictions you see alongside. She's aware of all that.
Most deadly is plutonium, named after Pluto, god of the underworld. 1 millionth of a gram, if you inhale it, will give you cancer. Hypothetically, 1 pound, if evenly distributed, could give everyone on Earth cancer.
Actually, yeah, less than that. It doesn't need to be plutonium either. It can be any of the isotopes. I'm not sure how that's going to work. Let's try this. Just wanted to see what that looked like. I don't know what I'm doing, Dana. Whoops. What the hell was that? I'm going to bend it with my brain. Okay, I'll stop. I don't want to scare everybody. Yeah. I got brain power. I can do it. Okay.
Each reactor has 250 kilos of plutonium in it. Kilograms. You only need 2.5 kilograms to make a bomb, because plutonium is what they make bombs with. It's the only country that has a reactor. From your uranium, you are the biggest exporters of uranium in the world.
Canada. She's in Montreal.
Canada sells 2 things. It sells wheat for life and uranium for death. Right?
Don't forget asbestos.
Plutonium is going to get out and spread all over the northern hemisphere, and it's already heading towards North America now.
Now this is 7 days later. She's pretty honest then, eh? She's already covering it up, but she's coming out pretty strong.
Plus radioactive iodine-129, its half-life is 17 million years, plus strontium, plus cesium, plus...
See, it's interesting. See, when this stuff goes through a chain reaction, it's no longer like the stuff that comes from the solar system. It's completely different. Its decay is completely different. Stuff from the solar system decay to lead. This stuff doesn't. They claim it does, but it actually doesn't. When you go look up the literature, the decay chain never stops. Theoretically, we don't know, because the first half-life is 15.7 million for the 129 iodine. There's very many of these long-lived. Now, in nature, they're not harmful, but when you went through a chain reaction, they're enhanced 2 million times. So now they're harmful, even if they were benign and innocuous beforehand.
Tritium, and I could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
When it rains, down comes fallout. And it concentrates in food. If it gets into the sea, the algae concentrated hundreds of times, then the crustaceans concentrated hundreds of times, then the little fish, then the big fish, then us.
So it concentrates up the food chain. So just right quick, because we're running low on time, let's keep moving as quick as we can. So it's able, it's not just pouring into the ocean, it went into the atmosphere. This was the biggest sphere, and it went up heavily. These are depictions from NOAA of release. It's just based up on a couple of days. It's not based upon the inventories, the actual known inventories. Because we're pressed for time, we're going to shoot through a couple just to get you up to speed. Uninterrupted line stretches across Pacific, so everything in the ocean would have been sucking up, baby. So what we postulated was we would, because I have 14,000 hours underwater in both oceans in Canada, I was like, I probably would notice it if I went out there. It's like an idiot. I went out there. And then I did up to 5 months at one point without coming back. What I showed was an extinction event where the species were totally missing. These are the before and after in different places. In this spot here was all Louise Narrows. Louise Narrows is those bunch of oil, that major island off the top of Canada. This is Canada. The Earls are everywhere I went. You see, I literally left no stone untouched, border to border in Canada. 260 days, 15,000 miles, went out and banged into the coastline right quick. I got to get back and finish up. She got like 2 minutes left of her video. But what I showed was an extinction event. It bioaccumulated up the chain. The species are missing. And if you go over to nuclear proctologist, you can kind of get up to speed pretty quick on all of this. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and start reading headlines. On the bottom of each page will get you up to speed in a hurry. The documentation of these pictures where there's no life, up to 1,000, 2,000 pictures per place, is available free for documentaries and filmmaking to anybody that wants it at my website, thenuclearproctologist.org. Let's get right back over, finish up on Helen. Try to come in on schedule.
Because we stand on the apex of the food chain. You can't taste these radioactive elements, you can't see them, and you can't smell them. They're
Hear them, feel them, taste them.
When you get them inside your body, you don't suddenly drop dead of cancer. It takes 5 to 60 years to get your cancer.
And there's 1,800 diseases, illnesses, autoimmune deficiencies that'll show up long before the cancer. Cancer is the last one to show up, right? And cancer...
And when a cancer, if you feel a lump in your breast, doesn't say, I was made by some strontium-90 you ate in a piece of fish 20 years ago. All radiation is damaging. It's cumulative. Each dose you get adds to your risk of getting cancer. With americium, that's more dangerous than plutonium. I mean, I could go on and on. Depends if it rains, if you're going to get it or not.
Right.
If it rains and the radiation
It used to.
down,
Once it shows up, it's there forever. It doesn't go away. It doesn't turn to fairy dust. It doesn't become harmless.
don't grow food, don't eat the food, and I mean don't eat it for 600 years.
Right. So that's what you got to think about with the Pacific seafood. It's contaminated. Like I showed you in those depictions from mainstream media. I show you all mainstream media. That's right. I show you all documentation from all the media. I'm way better than Libbe HaLevy could ever hope to be. Better than this prick right here will ever hope to be. I show you documentation to let you make up your own mind, and I bring in all kinds of weird shit at the same time.
Radioactive waste from nuclear power
that they would never touch.
Going to be buried.
That is legit. But it's weird, right? But it's legit. It's important. It's pertinent.
It's going to leak, last for millions of years. It's going to get into the water, into the food chains. Radioactive waste will induce epidemics of cancer, leukemia, and genetic disease the rest of time. This is the greatest public health hazard the world has ever witnessed, apart from the threat every day of nuclear war. Einstein said the splitting of the atom changed everything save man's mode of thinking. Very profound. Thus we drift towards unparalleled catastrophe. We are arrogant, we have a lot of hubris, and I think the reptilian midbrain of some men's brains is pathological. We are now in a situation where we have harnessed the energy of the sun. It is totally out of control, and there's simply nothing
anyone can do.
And especially building 3 is very fragile. It's still got a huge cooling pool on
on its roof.
Its roof protected by nothing.
No, it don't.
Building 4 is also similarly fragile.
Yeah.
And it's got a huge cooling pool on top with all its fuel rods.
No, it don't, man.
We are here inside reactor 4.
You had to fake it, see? That's why you're scratching your head when you say it.
Building 4 is also similarly
That's her,
fragile.
that's it, that's all of
and
it.
it's got a huge cooling pool on top with all its fuel rods, but they have been removing them. And it's been a very delicate procedure, and they've removed almost all. So if that collapsed now, I think it would probably be okay.
You gotta treat it like a meteorite strike, yeah? We better treat it like a meteorite strike, because that's what it is. It's a meteorite strike on our planet, and we can't see it or smell it or hear it or feel it or pick it up or touch it, but we know it don't look like that shit there, okay? Well, that's the show. We're being gamed by Nuclear Hot Seat and Helen Caldicott, and now by George Norrie is being gamed. I'm hoping he's not corrupt and evil and twisted and deceptive, because the world won't stand for this. The world is not going to put up with the lies and the manipulations any longer. Those days are gone. The future is ours. We will fight for it. We will go to battle. We go to battle every day. We stand tall. We have nothing to fear. We do no wrong, no harm. We are the good people. We are the morally justified, and we will make history. History will not make us. We are setting the stage for everybody to become articulating and know what is right and what is wrong, what is true, what is false. There's no middle grounds. You pick a side, and because you're evil or you're good, you don't pick these two sides in this fight for something, it's a political ideology. You pick it because you're evil and you don't care. You pick it because you're not willing to fight and you never were. You pick it because you're trying to, when you pick the wrong side, like Helen Caldicott and Ernie Gunnarsson, Busby, and all the media, Simply Info, can't come out and tell us that the fuel pools are gone. Can't come out and show us those depictions together. And yet they're the people we're supposed to covet. They're the people we're supposed to think that we can trust for our loved ones, send them there. Are you crazy? We're not asking for much, just the truth. How did the truth become so bad is the question I think we all need to ask ourselves. And I know what I'll ask myself every night when I go to bed. Did I do everything I could today? And I don't remember the answer because I sleep like a rock. I wake up in the morning and I do it all again. Thanks for everybody. We'll see you in the morning. Take care.